Chair Carr, Vice Chair Ritchie, Director Condit, Director Morrow,
Here.
Director Wright,
Here.
Director Wilson, Director Withrow, Director Chiesa.
Here.
Mr. Chair, you have a quorum.
Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Public comment. Members of the public may address the board on any item not on the agenda. Comments shall be limited to 3 minutes unless the chair of the board sets a different time limit. The board cannot take action on matters not on the agenda unless the action is authorized by section 945.54.2 of the Government Code. Do we have anybody from the public that would like to speak at this time? Yes, sir.
Sorry. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Ron McMurtry here. Just two quick comments. I and a number of my neighbors are still complaining about no bus service on the stretch of Sylvan between McHenry and Oakdale Road. And this has been a while. In my personal opinion, the agency overreacted by pulling that service completely instead of just reducing the service. And we don't still have our service. And I'd like to humbly suggest that that be one of the next things that get reinstated. There's even a way to do it to not change the revenue hours. So Simon has that information. That's just one thing. So, we're still harping about that. Please let that be the next thing. The other thing is Avail, the app that shows where the buses are. It still has not updated the route paths. It still has old, it's months ago when I mentioned this to Simon, but it still has some old detours from Route 21, 26, and 33, and it does not have the extended, you know how the 33 was extended. It still does not have that new section traced in brown right now. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anybody else from the public that would like to speak at this time? Yes, sir.
Good afternoon. My name is Mark Fraley, and I'm the general manager for bus operations for StanRTA. And I'm just here today to introduce a couple new members to my team. We've hired 2 new ops managers, one that is directly in charge of fixed route, one that's in charge of paratransit. So I'd just like to introduce Cliff Crabtree. He's our new director of operations for fixed route. And then Jessica Lee, she's our new operations manager for paratransit. So I'd just like to welcome them to our team. We're looking forward to serving StanRTA in the community, making sure we continue with the high standards that you guys are expecting. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much. And welcome to the team. Thank you. Okay, moving on to presentations. We have one employee of the month.
Sorry, Mayor Carr, we have one online, actually.
Oh, I'm sorry. Online, go ahead.
Yes.
Okay, there you go.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much. Good afternoon, public, staff, and members of the StanRTA board. My name is Cynthia Prieto Diaz. I am a biomedical engineer turned public health analyst and a civic scientist with engineers and scientists acting locally. But today I come before you as a concerned resident living near Riverbank with a hopeful message for cleaner public spaces. This past weekend, along my usual running path on Patterson Road in Riverbank, specifically at 2 of your bus stops on Route 60, I personally collected over 300 cigarette butts and cartons. While this isn't my litter, it's impacting our shared environments. I've been in communication with Adam Barth about this ongoing issue, and while I appreciate the recent improvement in cleaning frequency from once a month to once a week, it's clear that tobacco product waste continues to accumulate rapidly, making our bus stops eyesores and environmental hazards. I would like a resolution for the proposal I provided on specific tobacco product waste receptacles at these key locations, because I do believe it's a vital step in managing this toxic litter effectively. I am here to help to make this happen, and I am formally requesting to adopt these 2 bus stops on Patterson Road as I want to take direct ownership of keeping them clean and serving as a positive example for others. We should want to encourage everyone to take ownership of our public spaces, and I am stepping up to do just that. So happy to work together and to make our bus stops a source of pride and not pollution. Thank you for your support and attention to this important community matter. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and thank you for bringing that item to our attention. We will see about looking into that and agendizing that in a future meeting, but thank you very much. Anybody else from the public that would like to speak? No more online? Very good. Okay. We will go on to our employee of the month, Scott Wallen. Okay. Our employee of the month for May 2025 is Scott Wallen. Scott has been with TransDev since November 2023. What he enjoys most is helping passengers and connecting with the people he serves daily. In his spare time, he plays Magic with friends, spends times with his kids, and enjoys life. His advice to anyone thinking about joining TransDev is be ready to help people from all walks of life. Congratulations, Scott. That's your promotion right there. Thanks, Scott. Moving on to consent calendar, are there any items on the consent calendar that would like to be pulled? Do we have anybody from the public that would like to pull an item? Do we have anybody from online that would like to pull an item from the consent calendar? Hearing none, I will accept a motion to approve the consent calendar as is.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Discussion item 7A. A motion to adopt resolution 2025-190, approving the purchase of 2 diesel and 2 battery electric heavy-duty buses from Gillig LLC for an amount not to exceed $4,479,859. And motion to adopt resolution 2025-191, establishing a new capital project replacement, Gillig buses, and authorizing a budget amendment to fund the purchase. Is that you?
Let me introduce
Roland.
Roland Fecto at the end of the table there. Roland's going to provide a presentation for us.
Good afternoon, directors. I'm Roland Fecto. I'm a transit analyst with StanRTA. And I'm here to present to you on purchase of 4 heavy-duty Gillig buses. Next slide. So StanRTA we're dedicated to a clean energy future and gradually transitioning the fleet into a zero emission as per the regulations from CARB. And as of 2026, transit agencies are required to purchase zero emission buses. The zero emission buses options are battery, electric, and hydrogen fuel. So the purchase details are heavy duty buses are typically replaced every 12 years. That's the useful life according to FTA. And StanRTA is replacing 4 2013 vehicles that are aging and failing. So replacements include 2 battery electric buses and also 2 diesel buses. The rationale is that StanRTA is experimenting with both available technologies, having purchased 3 hydrogen fuel cell buses that are expected to come in the spring of 26. The Gillig electric buses will arrive in summer of 27. So this will give us real-time experience with the technologies we will determine which is the better fit. Next slide. Next slide, James. Thank you. We did a piggyback procurement, and the piggyback procurement allows one public agency to purchase vehicles using another agency's previously awarded and competitively bid contract, provided specific conditions are met. The contract we're working off is for the state of Washington, and the benefits of doing that is it shortens the procurement period by 6 to 9 months, and you get better pricing and standardization of orders, and also it saves the piggybacking agency, which would be us, procurement costs. Next slide, James. So a little more about the project is the Gillig battery buses have been reported to have a 274-mile range, which could be equivalent to a diesel bus, and also an overnight charging in the bus yard, as well as Gillig buses. Diesel buses will be similar to the ones we already have in the fleet, which are known to be reliable, and we know the quality of the vehicle that as we operate many of them today. Also, we will be replacing CNG vehicles, which always present a challenge having to deadhead to the county yard to fuel every day when we run those buses. So the sooner we can mitigate the CNG buses, I think the better off our operation will be. Next slide, James. So the project revenue and expenditure is, this next slide is the CMAQ is contributing 2.4 million. The hybrid zero emission truck and bus voucher incentive program is HVIP is 240,000, and local transportation funds will be contributing 1.8 million for a total of 4.479859 million to cover the cost. And also for expenditure for the bus purchase is basically the same. The 40-foot low floor buses, the two diesels are much cheaper. As you can see, they're basically half the cost of a battery electric bus. So we'll be getting two of those at a price of 778,000, and two battery buses run about 1.3 million each. And so with the cost of those buses and the contingency of 130,000, we'll have the available funds for the 4.479859 to cover the cost of the vehicles. Next slide, James. So it was recommended. I know we had the number on there. I think you just said it, Sheriff Carr. Adopt resolution approving the purchase of 2 diesel and 2 battery electric heavy-duty buses from Gillig LLC for an amount not to exceed $4,479,859, including a 3% contingency, and authorize the Chief Executive Officer to execute all necessary documents. In addition, we'd like to adopt a resolution establishing a new capital project titled Replacement Gillig Buses, authorizing a budget adjustment of $4,479,859 to fund the purchase of the buses and authorize the Chief Executive Officer to execute all necessary documents. Next slide, James. And if there's any questions, we'll take those.
Do we have any questions from the policy board?
I've never heard of the HVIP program. How's that funded? Is that a state or federal program or
Actually, I'm not familiar with it myself.
State program.
state program?
I don't remember the exact funding source from the state, but I know it is a state program.
And is it typical we get vouchers? I mean, or they're
Right.
available? It's not
Right.
that they fund it, we run out of money, it's oversubscribed.
We should get it. We just got, for the hydrogen buses we ordered about a year ago or so, we just got those vouchers approved. And so I'm not concerned with it. Once they're approved, I don't foresee them. It'll be okay.
Okay. Any other questions from policy board? Yes, sir.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Having looked over the specifications for these buses, I think these are going to be a vast improvement. The electrics will be a vast improvement over the Proterras, and hopefully you can also mitigate some of the issues that are still going on with fluids dropping that are causing issues down in Turlock. So It's just unfortunate we couldn't go all battery or all hydrogen at this time, but we just need to evaluate. And so I'm in support of this and looking forward to seeing them coming online. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
On the electric buses, what's the mileage per charge? Do you have any idea?
It said it's 274 miles.
274?
Miles, yeah, for a full charge.
And how long is it for a full charge?
Well, a full charge will get the bus through at least the full day, like a diesel bus does now. So at least we won't have to swap out battery buses like we do now. The Proteras can only go like a little over 100 miles, depending on the time of year it is, whether the heater or the air conditioner is running all the time. So basically, they only make it through like halfway through the day, and you have to have another charged bus ready to go in its place halfway through the day. And these buses will be able to make it the whole trip, the whole day long.
And it take about 9 hours to recharge?
Oh, no. It doesn't
A lot
take that long.
faster?
Yeah, they charge a lot faster.
Thanks.
Thank you very much. Any other questions or comments from policy? Hearing none, do we have anybody from the public that would like to speak on this item? Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ron McMurtry again. Just little things. Reading this item, I kind of noticed that, wow, there must have been a balancing act, following the CARB rules, but you need buses now and all that. So I read up on all that. My only question was about capacity. I noticed you mentioned for the diesels, you said 40 foot. Did you guys have a discussion whether 40 foot, like we really need the capacity versus 35 foot? That might be an answer for Chief Barth. I don't know.
Not familiar with that. So it was
Okay.
part of that
Well,
discussion.
oh, okay. I just thinking because we have difficult to navigate areas and sometimes the 35s are easier,
I think what the
system-wide.
question is, and correct me if I'm wrong, is what is the advantage to a 40-foot versus a bus that is smaller in length? For example, 35-foot bus, would that be easier to maneuver?
I do understand that, sir. I just was asking if they were specifically targeting 40 or they might go, wait a minute, we might just get 35s like that. That's a final decision. And why the 40 versus the 35?
Okay, go ahead.
So these buses are replacing existing 40-foot buses, and the majority of the fleet are 40-foot. 40-foot buses obviously have the most capacity, and we're having capacity issues right now on some routes, not all routes, but on some
Okay.
routes, on certain parts of the day. So we want to give as much capacity as we can on the
Okay.
on the system. But it's just a small cost to go from a 35-foot to a 40-foot bus.
Okay. I was just,
It was the right move.
okay. All right. Thank you. And then this next question might have to do more with Ms. Swanson since she presented about the new facility. But it looks like you guys, it seemed like about a year ago, we were really focusing on just getting hydrogen cell, and now we're experimenting with maybe some kind of mixture. So if Ms. Swanson's prepared, can you comment about the flexibility of the facility by the time, of having enough, like, oh, we need more electric now? Or does Chief?
Mr. McMurtry, I think it's we know what we're doing, and as we designed the new facility, we're looking at all the parts of it that we need to adapt as we
Yeah.
move forward, making sure that we can accommodate both battery electric and hydrogen.
And you have time to tweak then, is what you're saying, right?
Right,
Okay.
exactly. We'll be okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anybody else from the public that would like to comment? Hearing none, do we have anybody online that would like to speak on this issue? Okay. Hearing none, then I will make the motion to adopt Resolution 2025-190, approving the purchase of 2 diesel and 2 battery electric heavy-duty buses from Gillig LLC for the amount not to exceed $4,479,859, and include in the motion to adopt Resolution 2025-191, establishing a new capital project, replacement Gillig buses, and authorizing a budget amendment to fund the purchase.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, passes unanimous. 7B, motion to adopt Resolution 2025-192, approving the revised customer conduct policy dated May 2025, and authorizing the CEO to implement the same. Ms. Angela.
That's right. Thank you very much, sir. Can we load up? There we go. Let's go to the next page. So this is an item that's come before the board a few times, as well as our SEAC. We're ready for you to bring it for adoption. The Customer Conduct Code addresses the rules of the road for transit operations. It looks at all service types, our expectations, warnings and suspensions, provides how that's done, gives the procedures for staff to understand how to remove them. And we do review it annually to make sure we're current with law and reflecting the needs of what we're seeing on the system. Next slide. The conduct code is addressed in several ways through the rules of the bus, through our no-show and late cancellation policy for our paratransit vehicle riders, as well as the handbook that we provide. All of these are in English and Spanish. And the next slide shows typical issues that can cause disciplinary action to be taken. On the left are things that are warnings. This was more typical 5 years ago as being our issues. Cell phones being loud, smoking or vaping, you don't pay your fare, minor property damage, misbehaving. What we have seen now, we're seeing more often, that's leading to suspension, fights on the bus, fights at the transit center, multiple individuals involved in the fights. Assaults on transit staff, those have escalated here as they have across the country in an alarming fashion. We actually had a driver assaulted just yesterday. Again, getting multiple warnings, thievery, really disruptive or dangerous behavior, and major property damage. One of my favorite ones I like to cite for this is when we had someone try to light meth up in a porta potty during construction and blew it up. So we do have our issues. Next slide, please. So the process we have gone through to do this update is we started with staff, look and consulting with transitive management, what needed to be done, what are the trends we're seeing in the disciplinary actions. We also had outreach with the safety committee and the contractor staff so that we are talking to our frontline operations folks about what needs to be done. We also presented this twice to the Equity and Accessibility Advisory Committee, our SEAC group, who have forwarded this on for approval as of their last meeting. We also consulted with this and held it so that we could be in keeping with FTA issued General Directive 24-1, which set the bar that we have to, as transit agencies that receive public funds, really look and take proactive action to try to reduce assaults on our transit workers because we're seeing such a large outbreak of it across the country. And that we are supposed to be assessing, mitigating, and monitoring safety risks. So this plan was updated with that in mind. Next slide. Oh, and the last point was that we had 2 public outreach meetings. Again, on top of this, so that we consult with the public writ large. So the policy revisions, just to summarize some of it, we were describing at greater depth offenses that are tied to California codes. What we're finding is just telling somebody you have to behave better on the bus does not necessarily get a result. But when you can link into penal codes and that you can be suspended, you can be issued something by the local police department, whether it's citations or fines, that's more effective. We also have a small thing that we had done for due process was if someone appealed their suspension, we allowed them to ride the bus during the time that staff was doing internal review. What we found was the people that were appealing suspensions were tended to be involved in assaults and really disruptive behavior, and that it wound up being threatening to the operators to have them riding the bus even during the appeal period because they get served the suspension, they call and make an appeal, and they're on the bus the next day. And it left us with a volatile situation, and that we wanted it. So we've eliminated that ability to ride the bus during the period of an appeal. We've also added the new section on transit worker assaults, which will be hitting on the suspension penalties. Go on. And we've really done a stronger distinguishment in the policy before. Again, 5 years ago, when our biggest problem was someone being too loud talking on the phone or not paying their fare, those would lead to and we did more warnings. You'd have to get a couple of warnings in a few months and you get suspended. Now, when we're seeing people fighting on the bus, when there are drug issues going on the bus, we really need to move straight to suspension. And whereas before we said we have the option of doing it, we really made clear these are offenses that will lead directly to suspension. So we made it much stronger language. Next. And then, so this is the new category, assault on a transit worker, where we're looking at those penalties. And basically now we start, if you assault a transit worker, it's without warning, you're suspended. It's 6 months, can last up to 12 months. By the third time, if this goes on and you're back on the system, you're barred from service indefinitely. Now, I will note with that while it can be done, it is very difficult to bar somebody from use of public transit buses permanently. But in these cases, you can work at doing that. And obviously with this, what I didn't include there is that we're always involving and encouraging the involvement with police department for these assaults to be pursued through the legal system as well. So that's a whole new category of penalties. Next. And then having just quickly summarized it, you've all had the handout. It's been vetted over a 6-month period. We would appreciate you adopting resolution 2025-192, approving the revised customer conduct policy and authorizing our CEO to take all necessary steps to implement it. And I'm happy to take any questions.
Do we have any questions or comments from?
I'm assuming assaults include being spit on or,
It includes being spit on, yes.
so if someone actually went hands-on and assaulted in the traditional sense, giving them 3 opportunities seems awfully nice.
Before being barred.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I can't, because again, you're right, people would tend to ride the same routes, so you'd end up with the same drivers. I think that'd
That's
be
right.
typical, and it's a horrible situation to be in. So anyways, I don't, again, because I think there's differing degrees of assault where you maybe give someone a chance. And I know there's people that have issues, right?
Right.
And this might be their only transit system, but having the same driver is not fair to them. And I don't know what to do if we force them on the dial a ride if in that or some other way.
It is difficult because we're always trying to balance, right? And the fact that you do have mental health issues and extenuating circumstances that can be involved in that. So we try to deal with that through the investigative process in determining. We also have done a lot of work doing de-escalation training to try to avoid. So that what we are seeing is fewer the incidents, like you're saying, spitting or someone being mad and throwing their fare card at some, which is still an assault, but it's a very low level comment, a threatening, jerk, that kind of thing. So through the de-escalation techniques, we've really seen a lot of mitigation of what you would expect to be that low level. What we really are still seeing, and it's not as often, but it's trying to throw a punch over the screen at them.
I would allow someone great latitude in the determining something. If there's a
Right.
physical assault, someone tries to punch
Right.
you or something, it's just not acceptable.
And thank you for taking such a strong support of our staff. I know they really appreciate it. We also found if there's someone is not allowed to ride transit for 6 to 12 months, and we really work hard to keep their photos are put up in the driver's room. We really work to make sure it's very visible, that it's known. Our cameras at the transit center have facial recognition. So if those people come onto the transit island, they are escorted off by security, or PD is called. So we really stay very proactive to make sure they're kept off. But we'll find a lot of them, if it is their only form of transit, they move on and do something else with their lives.
Any other questions or comments from staff? Okay. I was going to ask how you enforce a suspension of a person who's not supposed to be on the bus, but I think you just alluded to facial recognition at the bus terminal, which helps identify these individuals, and so we can work proactively to keep them off the buses. And I'm strongly in favor of that because um, just basically protection for our drivers. They're doing a public service, and they don't need to deal with offensive or threatening acts from anybody. So, and it's also a public safety, but I'm more inclined for safety for our drivers for what they're doing. So thank you for explaining how we identify them. Yes, please.
Madam Chair, how many people have we suspended?
The numbers are still relatively low. We suspended 24 in fiscal year 24, and then we're ending this with 14 suspensions and another 30 warnings. When you consider that we give 3 million rides a year, it's a very low number. But in transitioning over to StanRTA, we were lucky to issue 1 or 2 suspensions a year. So for us, this has really risen dramatically. You know, it feels like it's a lot different. And when we've had the issues, they've tended to be bigger groups of people too at a time that we are trying to suspend. Like when we've had some students fighting on the bus, you know, it's a group of 4 or 5.
One other question. Since we've had incidences from high school students over, I'm just going to say Modesto High, being belligerent and causing fights, if they get suspended, is the school notified of that student being suspended from the bus, or is the school kept out of this and basically it's up to the student to say, I'm going to try and get on the bus anyways?
Mr. Barth will have some comments on that. In part, would you like to share some of the discussions you've had with the school district?
Yeah, we did meet with the superintendent of Modesto School District just to talk about this issue. They're happy to be involved, and I don't know if we actually do report to the school district.
We
but
don't, no, we don't.
We don't, but it's something that they're happy to help with and to know about and to try to mitigate as well at our bus stops, because there are a lot of people, a lot of students that get on the buses, from all the different high schools around Modesto and around the county. So it's not specific to Modesto, but definitely the concentration is here. But it's definitely something that we're working with the school district on.
All right. Thank you. Any other question from the policy board? Hearing none. Anybody from the public that would like to speak on this item? Hearing none. Do we have anybody online that would like to speak on this item? Nope. Okay. At this point, I will accept a motion to adopt Resolution 2025-192, approving the revised customer conduct policy dated May 2025 and authorizing the CEO to implement the same.
So moved.
Second. Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none. Okay, 7C, motion to adopt Resolution 2025-193, approving an agreement with Lindy Services Incorporated for the lease of a hydrogen bus filling station for an amount not to exceed $6,538,423.69. Miss Angela, you're up again. Oh, okay.
That's to me. Good afternoon again, directors. We're going to talk about the lease of a hydrogen fueling station. Next slide, please. So we are still committed to a cleaner energy future by gradually transitioning the fixed route fleet to zero emission buses with an initial purchase of 3 hydrogen fuel battery buses. Fueling these buses requires the lease of a portable fueling station and the delivery of hydrogen fuel weekly. So the project timeline is the fuel station installation is needed by December 31st of this year. Commissioning, training, and deliveries will begin early 2026, and the hydrogen buses will be delivered in spring of 2026. So the leasing rationale was because we require a short-term solution for hydrogen fueling that will be available to support the new hydrogen subfleet and can be dismantled easily once the new maintenance and operations facility is operational, estimating in 2029. Next slide. So the procurement process was we issued a request for proposals March 5th. That's a picture of a unit similar to what we're going to be getting in a trailer, the tube trailer that contains the hydrogen gas. 6 firms submitted 7 proposals on April 9th, and there was a 4-member review committee that evaluated the proposals. Next slide. So the evaluation outcome was Linde Gases rated the highest because they've got the most experience in the industry and also transit-specific experience, which was really important to us. And the timeline and schedule, they said, actually meets or exceeds our expectation at the end of the year. And they happen to also be the lowest cost of all the proposals that we received. So each of the vendors was given 100 points available per reviewer. And Linde Services Incorporated's top score was 359 out of 400, and they were the top scoring proposal. Next slide. So a little more is the portable station will be installed at the bus maintenance facility yard. It looks much like a gas pump. The fueling with the system that we're going to be getting takes approximately 80 minutes per bus to fill, depending on how empty the tanks might be. Also, the estimated hydrogen delivery would be 1 to 2 times a week, and Linde will deliver the fuel from its Ontario, California plant. Next slide, please. So this is an overhead aerial view of the bus maintenance facility yard, and the red square is approximately where we plan to install the portable fueling station and the hydrogen tube trailer that will accompany it to support the station. Next slide. And this is an eye chart on the cost proposals that Linde submitted. But you can see the second line is the price per kilogram. It goes up incrementally over the course of 5 years, plus the 2 one-year options that we may be needing to use. And it also includes the delivery charges, as well as the use of the unit per month is all there included. So the bottom line after 7 years, if we go the whole 7 years, it's going to be 6.5 million, 38,423 and 69 cents. Next slide. Our recommendation is that we adopt Resolution 225-193, approving an agreement with Linde Services for the lease and fueling of hydrogen buses for 5 years with 2 optional 1-year extensions at a cost not to exceed $6,538,424, and authorize the Chief Executive Officer to execute all related documents. Next slide. Are there any questions on that?
Any questions or comments from the policy board?
I get all kinds of questions, but I think long-term, I'm on the airport, and so long-term, they keep saying on trucks, semi-trucks driving up and down the valley because of the mileage component. The hydrogen is the thing, but there's not enough produced, and this is coming out of Ontario, truckloads, which is down the LA basin. It's not easy. Did we go for, because this is an all-inclusive cost, which is pretty impressive, being able to know what your cost is locked in for 6 years. Was there any, so you've got the setup of the pumping station, right? It's not a throwaway cost other than the time and effort to set it up because it can be moved. That's great. You've got the cost per kilogram, but you've got these, I think, inclines. I don't know what it is, if it's 5% or 2% a year or something. Do we believe, did we lock it in that way on the price because we are afraid the price is going to go up, or just for certainty, or was it for protection, or why did we not just allow floater like gasoline or diesel and pay market price?
Yeah, well, the hydrogen price per kilogram is volatile. It's like petroleum products, and we wanted to be able to control the end outcome, because that's one of the largest expenses at the end of the 5 years. And plus, if we need to exercise the 2 one-year options because of the timing of our new facility to be built, we wanted to be able to manage the cost and keep it within the planned limit, is the reason why we went that route. There were other vendors that offered, there were different prices on hydrogen, but there was different delivery charges. There was even closer places that had hydrogen delivery, but some of those proposals, they didn't have the experience or the actual background where they had other transit agencies that they had worked with. So we were kind of leery to go with somebody that, may not, even though they were closer, may not have the experience and then have to tell us, gee, sorry, we can't get you your fuel. So that's what our concern is. We want to have reliability and, at least we know what the costs are going to be over the period of this agreement. We know at the end of this agreement, when we do finally move to our new facility, we're going to have to put out another whole new RFP for, a mega station because the fleet will need to grow significantly if we're to maintain our path of zero emission buses. So that's the reason why we chose to lease, and we just got a small, it's a cascading station. Basically, they're going to deliver high-pressure tube trailer filled with hydrogen, and that'll just cascade down into the lower pressure of the bus, and it's just controlled by the dispenser. And that just powers off 110. There's no compressors, there's no cooling, there's no other conversion of the gas. So it's really just gas to gas, just higher pressure to low pressure. That's why it takes the time that it does.
Yeah, you surely couldn't have a big fleet and take 80 minutes to fuel.
No, not at all.
4 hours a day doing it. I'm hoping, again, because there's so few manufacturers, I guess is the right word, right, that are making hydrogen. I'm expecting more to come online, and I'm hoping the price goes down. That doesn't give anyone any solitude because what I'm saying is I hope and I think, but that doesn't guarantee you have something that's guaranteed. So I definitely understand it. Does Linde make hydrogen?
Yes,
Are they taking it from their own
yes.
station? So that's
And
where
they're,
they can control, or they think they can control the cost.
no, well, yeah, they can, that's what, they're the ones that said that we're going to have to negotiate with them. But the price, as far as in comparison to some of the other proposals, was actually on the more reasonable end. And of course, the total cost of the project is a lot more reasonable through Linde than the other proposers. But there are other options coming online. They're just not ready yet. They're building a plant in Tracy to manufacture hydrogen. And there's already one that we went and visited down near Fresno as well. That's a biogas. It's very green. They're right next to some farms, and they're using the bio waste to extract the hydrogen, and they're selling it that way as well. But we won't have access to that yet. So.
Thank you. All right, thank you very much. Any other questions or comments from the policy board? Yes, sir.
You just brought up an important thing too. As we go forward and continue with hydrogen, we have to look at how green the power that is used by these hydrogen plants is, because it's not saving us a whole lot environmentally if we can get hydrogen, which reduces our emission, but the electricity used to produce it is coming from a very dirty source. So in Southern California, a lot of the power comes off Hoover Dam. So that's a clean source, but that may not be the same if we go elsewhere. So that's something we're going to have to look at as well.
Thank you very much. Any other questions or comments? I have one. The transfer of the hydrogen coming from Linde, okay, are we only going to be charged what we use, or are we being charged a bulk price? And the reason I ask that question is because other agencies that are already using hydrogen in their buses are recording up to a 40% loss from when they buy it to when it actually gets in the bus. And to me, that's a significant waste in finances if that's going to happen.
It is, and there are technologies to capture the boil off so that it's not lost into the atmosphere. But the equipment we're going to be using will not be subject to that because basically it's a sealed tank that we're going to get charged for what gets delivered. They're basically moving a sealed tank of hydrogen from the plant in Ontario until they plug it into our dispenser over here at the bus yard. So there'll be no transfer of gas. We're not moving liquid to gas, which is where a lot of the boil off occurs. So we won't have that problem.
Okay. And I know it's coming out of Ontario, but in the future, does it look like there's going to be other opportunities for local
Absolutely.
distribution?
Absolutely.
Because I heard you mention Fresno. I know they're either online or almost online. So I know they're closer, but there's also another one up at the Elk Grove, I want to say, that could be closer. And if those are opportunities, for more local disbursement, then I think that should be something we should look into.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think for the first 3 buses, I think Lindy's a good, solid organization to work with,
Mhm.
to get our feet wet, if you will, and dabble in this hydrogen universe. But I think we'll be able to uncover and discover and take advantage of those other opportunities as they develop.
Okay, great. Thank you very much.
All right.
Any other questions or comments from the policy board? Okay, hearing none. Do we have anybody from the audience that would like to speak on this item? Hearing none. Do we have anybody online? No. Okay, thank you very much. At this point, I will accept a motion to adopt Resolution 2025-193, approving an agreement with Lindy Services Incorporated for the lease of a hydrogen bus fueling station for an amount not to exceed $6,538,423.69.
So moved.
Okay, all in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Hearing none? Okay, we have information items. I will let the policy board members review those at their leisure. And then we move on to the CEO report.
Okay, thank you, Chair Carr. Just a few things I wanted to talk about with the board today, or I give updates on. First, the TDA Performance Audit, TDA, the Transportation Development Act, which is the act which provides the vast majority of our funds for the operation. That act requires an audit every 3 years, which we are just at the tail end of right now. It's conducted by StanCog. That draft report has been completed, and we had one minor compliance finding. It's the same finding that we've known about for the last few years with the financial audit that was late a couple of years ago. So other than that, the audit was clean and stellar, and wanted to thank staff, everyone here in the room, and in the office as well, for the great work that they did to make this another audit, which seems like we live for audits. There's audits all the time with us, but we continue to do great and continue to do well. So thank you for your support on the audit. Dump the Pump Day is Tuesday, June 17th. And it's the last day of the fiscal year that we'll have a free ride day. So be sure to get out there and ride the bus. It's free, and we'll get the information out to all the riders as well, so they know that Dump the Pump Day, June 17th, is free on all of our roads. Next, we have this bus stop construction that's going on right now. It's almost completed. This is just a picture from yesterday morning. This is on Hatch and Moffett, and it's in series. And so this big bus stop turnout right by the Hatch Road Canal is almost done. It'll be a great addition to that to the bus route in that area. It serves Route 47 in series. I was in Washington, D.C. a couple of weeks ago and met with Congressman Gray, and seemed very supportive of our projects for the new facility, and just supportive transit as well. So it was great to meet him and his staff. So want to make you aware of that. It was a great time in DC. At the conference I was at, I also heard a lot from the new Secretary of Transportation, Secretary Duffy, along with the FTA acting administrator, whose name is escaping me, but he was there as well, and both are transit fans, and look forward to more great things coming from transit operations throughout the country. Lastly here, just the last slide on ridership. The darkest line there on the top is the current year's ridership, and so you can see it's about the same as last year, which is the orange line. I just looked at the riderships to date for May. I know May's not there, but May is trending in the same way as well. It'll be about 280,000 trips for the month of May for the current year. So just seeing that we're still doing just fine, still seeing great ridership on the system. That's all I have, sir. Thanks for your time.
Very much. Okay, director's reports. Do we have anybody from the policy board that would like to speak on an item? Yes, sir.
I'll just have to report the on-time performance of the routes that I've been riding has been incrementally better. We still have an issue with the routes that run during school time, that those routes get delayed, and of course that's going to balloon through the day because it'll take time to catch up. But things are improving a little bit. The routes that I ride most frequently, I have not seen really any issues with a whole lot of um, conduct problems, except for the people playing their devices too loud. That seems to be the big one on the routes that I use. So, hopefully this new policy, we can kind of get that under control. And then to reference the person who made the online comment about the cigarette waste at units. I know that not all of our stops have waste receptacles at all. So the busier ones do. So I guess we would have to look at what kind of cost is going to be involved for those receptacles, and then who's going to service them as well, because it's an issue. And you've got people that use our shelters as hangouts, and they're going to leave trash around it, and it is a problem. So that's all I've got.
Okay.
If you don't mind, I
Go ahead.
talk about the bus stop trash. There are certain stops that are abused where we've had to take the trash cans out of the stop because we've had a lot of dumping. And we have a contractor, Guaranteed Janitorial Service, a local firm that maintains all the bus stops. They clean all the bus stops. They empty the trash at all the bus stops. They are tasked with that. We've just found that we've had to take trash cans out because of dumping that has been happening at some bus stops around Modesto. But wherever we can, where the need is there, we try to put a trash can at that stop if it's not abused.
Any other policy board member? Yes.
So I only get to show up here once a year or so, or maybe a couple times a year.
We thank you.
I want to tell you, don't thank me. You guys are doing the work. But the board, Adam, the team, and the drivers, buses are always in good shape. I spend my time out in Houston and Hickman and Waterford in that area, and the loop out there, and Hickman, nice covered, right there by the Hickman Church, where you have your pickup in Hickman. I couldn't be prouder of the work you guys are doing, and I like being associated with StanRTA. The ridership numbers, because we got to make sure all transit operators, there's 2 of them, are doing what they're supposed to be doing, and there's an obligation to the taxpayer, and you guys are doing it. So very proud to be sitting here today.
Thank you. And we enjoy having you here, Vito. You're always a valuable member to the team, so thank you very much. Any other policy board members? Okay, hearing none. At this point, we were going to adjourn into closed session. Thank you. See what happens when I leave for a while? Okay.
Yeah, further down. But on a short lunch, that's about as far as you can go.
Take you 30 minutes to get down there and
Yep.
eat it on.
Okay. We've returned from closed session and there is no reportable action. So we need a motion for adjourn? Then we are adjourned.
Thank you.